the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Philippine Navy reports Chinese harassment of Filipino fishing boat in Bajo de Masinloc. AFP tracks surge of Chinese vessels in West Philippine Sea. Cebu City now in state of calamity after landfill landslide. Philippines and UAE sign historic free trade deal.
A pleasant day to all our viewers, especially to our troops at Camp Emilio Aguinaldo in Quezon City. Today is a Wednesday, January 14, and this is AFP Community News, your trusted source for the updates on the armed forces and other developments across the country. I am Roxanne Abay, here to bring you today's stories.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
For the brief overview of our news, Philippine Navy reported that Chinese Coast Guard and PLA Navy ships harassed a Filipino fishing boat near Bajo de Masinloc in the West Philippine Sea. Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, the AFP spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, said the Chinese vessels approached within 30 meters, blocked the boat's path, and trailed it for nearly 3 hours. The Philippine Coast Guard deployed BRP Cape San Agustin, provided fuel assistance, and ensured the fisherman's safety before the boat resumed fishing operations. The Philippine Navy said the incident marked the first reported harassment of Filipino fishermen in 2026 and reaffirmed the country's maritime rights within its exclusive economic zone.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines monitored 41 Chinese vessels across 4 key maritime features in the West Philippine Sea during the first week of 2026, exceeding the recent weekly average. AFP spokesperson for West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, reported the increased presence of PLA Navy, China Coast Guard, and maritime militia ships in Bajo de Masinloc, Ayungin Shoal, Escoda Shoal, and Pag-asa Island. He noted that Chinese vessels are now operating closer to Philippine and allied ships during the multilateral maritime activities, signaling a shift toward more assertive operations. The Philippine Navy continues to coordinate with the Philippine Coast Guard and Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources to intensify patrols and protect maritime rights in the West Philippine Sea.
Armed Forces Radio.
From our report on the ground, let us hear the report of AMI about 9th Marine Battalion boost West Philippine Sea awareness in Puerto Princesa. Go AMI.
The 9th Marine Rifle Battalion conducted the Marines at Lakbay Kamalayan activity in Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, in support of the West Philippine Sea campaign. The event at Barangay Luz Viminda featured static displays highlighting maritime security operations and the unit's operational capabilities. Marine personnel led an information drive that emphasized the national importance of the West Philippine Sea and the AFP's role in protecting the country's maritime domain. The activity strengthened public awareness and engagement among local officials on maritime security and national sovereignty issues. This is Ami reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for stronger Philippines.
Thank you so much, Ami.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines has fully positioned the troops and assets to support communities displaced by continued unrest of Mayon volcano in Bicol. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla said units in the area remain ready to respond to possible escalation, with 15 HADAR teams already deployed to evacuate residents from 13 affected barangays using 23 military vehicles. The AFP also placed 17 additional Hadar teams on standby while activating Task Force Sagip to strengthen command and the control and the rapid response. Colonel Padilla stressed that the military is closely coordinating with disaster agencies and local governments to ensure swift, unified humanitarian and evacuation operations.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The United States Embassy visited Filipino-American activist Chantal Anicoche at Camp Kapinpin, Tanay Rizal to check on her welfare after she was found following an encounter between government troops and NPA rebels in Occidental Mindoro. 2nd Infantry Division spokesperson Colonel Michael Aquino said the embassy personnel were satisfied with Anicoche's condition and confirmed her voluntary decision to remain at the Army Hospital for medical treatment. The second AU said Anicoche signed an affidavit in the presence of an independent lawyer, stating she was staying without force or intimidation, and reiterated this choice before U.S. Embassy staff. The visit came amid calls from militant groups for her release as security operations in Abra de Ilog continue.
Armed Forces Radio.
From Nolco, let us hear some information from Juan. Residents of remote area in Bagao, Cagayan benefit from 17 IB Serbisyo Caravan. Go dyan.
Around 200 residents of Barangay Barsat West, Bagao, Cagayan benefited from a one-day Serbisyo caravan led by the Charlie Company of the 17th Infantry Battalion as part of their ongoing advocacy to bring social services to remote communities. The Serbisyo caravan aimed to bring basic government services closer to the people, particularly in areas with limited access to healthcare, personal care, and food security. It also sought to strengthen trust and cooperation between the government and the community. The services provided included free haircuts, dental services, medical checkups, civil registry assistance, and distribution of 5 kilos of rice to each beneficiary. Through careful planning and collective action, aid was delivered directly to residents to ensure no one was left behind. The successful Serbisyo caravan showcased the strong partnership between the military, government agencies, local government, and other stakeholders in promoting the welfare of the people. This is John Sagak reporting for AFP Community News 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Juan from Nolco.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
Government troops recovered high-powered firearms, ammunition, and logistical items after a clash with communist terrorist group elements in Surigao del Sur. The encounter involved remnants of Squad 2 and Squad 3 of the Sub-Regio Centro de Gravidad Westland under the Northeastern Mindanao Regional Committee. Troops seized AK-47 rifle with a defaced serial number, magazines, ammunition, a rifle grenade, medical paraphernalia, and camp supplies with no casualties reported on the government side. The 36th Infantry Battalion continues clearing operations and urged the remaining CTG members to surrender and avail of the government's enhanced comprehensive local integration program.
DWDD National News.
For our national news, the Cebu City Council approved a resolution declaring a state of calamity in the city following a landslide at a landfill in Barangay Binaliw that has so far killed 12 people. The resolution was filed by Councilor Dave Tumulak, who also heads the Cebu City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. Following the declaration, the city government will allocate 30 million pesos to address waste management issues and support search and rescue operations at the landfill. Last Tuesday, operatives recovered the remains of a female victim, bringing the death total to 12.
Armed Forces Radio.
And now some information from Shira about AFP reaffirms unity after officers' withdrawal of support claim.
Yes, good afternoon. The Armed Forces of the Philippines asserted that the organization remains solid and united despite Colonel Odi Mungao's reported withdrawal of support. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla said that the statement will not affect the military's cohesion and stressed that the entire force continues to stand behind its chain of command. She confirmed that authorities are investigating Mongao's remarks and assured that any case will undergo due process under existing AFP laws and policies. Colonel Padilla added that the AFP sees no need for a loyalty check and emphasized the troops' continued commitment to the Constitution and their sworn mandate. This is Shai Rivera reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you so much, Shaira.
DWDD National News.
The Philippines and the United Arab Emirates have signed the free trade agreement during President Marcos's working visit to Abu Dhabi. Marcos and UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan witnessed the signing and exchange of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement on the sidelines of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week 2026 Summit. CEPA is the Philippines' first free trade pact with a Middle Eastern country. The agreement aims to reduce tariffs, enhance market access for goods and services, increase investment flows, and create new opportunities for Filipino professionals and service providers in the UAE.
DWDD National News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has called on global financial institutions to make climate financing more accessible and fairer. Malacanang said Marcos reiterated calls for reforms in global financial institutions to make climate and development financing fairer, more accessible, and more responsive. He emphasized the borrowing costs for climate-vulnerable countries exceed growth rates while debt burdens crowd out investments in health, education, and resilience. PBBM added that this is not simply a matter of finance, but a matter of equity, stability, and shared responsibility.
Armed Forces Radio.
Let us hear more from Mel Joy of First Year G about 24th IB highlights West Philippine Sea in ROTC engagement in Ilocos Sur.
Yes, Rof, the 24th Infantry Wildcat Battalion successfully conducted a series of instructional lectures for the Reserve Officers Training Course students of Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College. The activity underscored the battalion's commitment to youth development and national awareness with particular emphasis on West Philippine Sea. The activity also included practical sessions on basic military skills and leadership, reinforcing patriotism, preparedness, responsible citizenship among the youth, and reflecting the strong partnership between the military and academic institutions. This is Meljoy Nesho Oroco reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Meljoy of First Year G.
DWDD National News.
For other national news, more than 16,000 new classrooms are set to rise across high-need areas nationwide. This came after the Department of Education secured government approval for a 105.7 billion peso public-private partnership project. This will directly benefit up to 800,000 learners in public schools. DepEd added that it has rolled out the program as part of a major push to address overcrowded classrooms and accelerate the school infrastructure development in high-need areas nationwide.
DWDD National News.
The Department of Public Works and Highways will embark on multi-billion peso maintenance, rehabilitation, repair, and completion of all unfinished infrastructure projects nationwide for 2026. Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon said that top on the DPWH's priority is the massive rehabilitation and repair of the Maharlika Highway, also known as the Pan-Philippine Highway. Maharlika Highway is a network of roads, expressways, and bridges, and also ferry services that connect the islands of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Dizon said its repair alone is expected to cost the government 16 billion pesos, but this is expected to go higher after the technical details and scope of the massive repair are finalized.
Armed Forces Radio.
On the other line, let us hear more from Jimboy about 24th IB trains ISPSC ROTC cadets on leadership and West Philippine Sea awareness.
The 24th Infantry Battalion conducted instructional lecture for ROTC cadet of Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College to promote youth development and national awareness. Troops delivered briefing on the West Philippine Sea and facilitated practical session on basic military skills and leadership. The activity aimed to strengthen patriotism, preparedness, and responsible citizenship among participating students. The battalion also reinforced its partnership with academic institutions in building an informed and resilient youth sector. This is Jimboy reporting for AFP Community News, 1AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Jimboy.
DWDD National News.
Meanwhile, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure disclosed that a tip from an informant who just walked in at the ICI office has led to the seizure of 8 illegally imported luxury vehicles linked to fugitive former lawmaker Zaldico. ICR Special Advisor Rodolfo Azun said an informant whose affiliation he refused to identify walked in at the ICI in December to share knowledge about the luxury vehicles that were parked at the condominium in Taguig City. They were given plate numbers. That's why the body was able to verify with the Land Transportation Office. Azrin then called on the public to do the same so the government could seize all properties illegally acquired by those involved in the anomalous flood control project.
DWDD National News.
The Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino program has translated long-standing housing commitments into concrete results by enabling hundreds of informal settler families in Valenzuela City to finally secure land ownership after decades of uncertainty. A 14 million check was released to Wawang Polo Homeowners Association Phase 1 under the Enhanced Community Mortgage Program. The funding provides 242 families in Barangay Wawang Polo. That means to acquire the land they have occupied since 1990s. The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development and the Social Housing Finance Corporation facilitated the release as part of the government's push to accelerate secure land tenure for informal settlers.
Armed Forces Radio Report.
Let us hear more updates from Spencer about Special Forces School opens SFOT Class 03-2025.
In the drop, the Special Forces School of the Special Forces Regiment Airborne formally opened Special Forces Orientation Training Class 03-2025 at Fort Ramon Magsaysay in Nueva Ecija. Acting Regiment Commander Colonel Eros James Uri led the opening as 42 trainees, including 15 second lieutenants and 27 privates, began the foundational course. The training develops physical endurance, mental resilience, moral character, and professional competence required for special operations. Furthermore, the program emphasizes the regiment's commitment in producing disciplined, adaptable, and mission-ready Special Forces leaders. This is Spencer, reporting for AFP Community News, 1AFP for a Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Spencer Ross.
DWDD National News.
On the other hand, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has called for faster release of anti-EPAL guidelines to ensure that government-funded projects are not used for any personal or political branding. Past Press Officer Claire Castro said that what the President wants is for the guidelines to be fixed as quickly as possible. This as Castro reiterated Marcos's commitment to transparent public service by banning politicians' involvement in financial aid distributions. The move also aims to guarantee that assistance reaches beneficiaries without political patronage.
DWDD National News.
Philippine National Police Acting Chief Police Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. directed all police commanders to immediately act on any form of misconduct of their men. This aims to prevent many serious problems in the future, as he emphasized zero tolerance on any act that will compromise the integrity and professionalism of the police force. Nartates issued the order after it turned out that the police sergeant tagged in shooting of a female civilian and 3 fellow policemen in Negros Oriental has administrative cases history. He explained that minor infractions in disciplinary mechanisms or any misconduct must be immediately addressed to prevent any personnel from being involved in serious offenses.
Armed Forces Radio Report.
And now from further updates about Abra de Ilog leaders reject claims of civilian harm in NPI encounters.
Good day everyone. Local officials, peace authorities and indigenous youth leaders in Abra de Ilog, Occidental Mindoro rejected online claims that civilians were harmed during the January 1st encounters between government troops and New People's Army elements in Barangay Cabacao. The Municipal Peace and Order Council confirmed the clashes were linked to CPP-NP NDF presence and stressed that no civilian casualties occurred, citing verified reports from community leaders and residents. Mangyan youth groups and situ leaders echoed the findings, condemning the armed group's presence and saying it caused fear and disruption to their communities. The 2nd Infantry Division said and the accusations lack factual basis and urged the public to rely on verified information from local authorities. This is Ferdy Blues reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Ferdy.
DWDD National News.
The Bureau of Immigration has recorded 15.6 million passengers arrivals in the country in 2025. Immigration Deputy Spokesperson Melvin Mabulak said they saw more passengers coming to the Philippines from different parts of the world last year, increasing by 6% compared to the data in 2024. Foreign travelers who went to the Philippines were 6.7 million last year. The officials said they are also using technology for early detection of threats, making sure that the national security and public health are protected despite the increasing number of travelers.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
That concludes today's broadcast, and thank you for your continued support, particularly to our viewers on AFP Radio, the DWDD's official Facebook page. Join us again tomorrow for more stories and updates, same time and same station. Once again, this is Roxanne Abay for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Behold the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Susan every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Kayo ay nakatutok sa DWDD AFP Radio. Kami po ay kasapi ng KBP, Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas.